recording this now just for Sod's benefit mostly, but also I'll post this up someplace for you guys if you want it, just to play back later. So anyway, like I was saying, yeah, the forum will close at a particular time. Since it's during our lab time, I'll give you the normal lab period. So it'd be 3 hours, which should be more than enough. But once it closes, again, you won't get an error message. You won't get anything. It'll just stay open. But if you find that you can't submit it, you may have to copy and paste into another sheet or another document, or we'll figure it out if we need to. But it should be fine. And I think it's all going to be in one. All the questions will be in one thing, so one document, one form, I guess I should say. So that's the plan.
Dr. Richards?
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. For the short answer, are they just like, this is kind of a weird question, but is like the part you can type in, is it just 1 line long, or is it like you can type in a paragraph?
I think the way it should work, and again, I did try it out with a kind of test, I guess. And yes, so it has space. I think it would let you type as much as you want. I don't know if there's like it doesn't explicitly give a like a word limit or character limit or anything. So it should just let you keep typing. Now it may not have, I don't think it lets you like put in any, formatting or anything. But you can, if you want to write like more than one paragraph, you just hit enter and it'll make a new line. So you should be able to just write as much as you want. But like I said, I won't put any questions on there that require you to like, create a table or do anything other than just type letters on your keyboard. But we'll see. There are some. I know some people have tried giving tests where you have to like show your work or like on a math problem, and so they'll have you upload a file. But we don't need to do that for this test, and from what I've gathered, it doesn't work super well. So so I'd like to avoid it if we can.
Okay.
I don't know. Have you guys had any other tests?
Yeah, multi.
Is that with Dr. K or
Yeah, Dr. K, yeah.
So what did he do?
He made us he sent us a file with like the questions, like a Word doc with all the questions, and then we had to either write it out or type it out and send it to him.
Yeah.
But we have to keep our camera on so that he sees us.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't really want to try anything that complicated. So, I mean, the other thing is, like I said, for this test, it is open book, so you can use your book, you can use your notes if you have any, and that's it. So you shouldn't like be using anything else, which I don't say because you're not allowed to use other sources. I say that because if they're the kinds of questions, for the most part, and there may be some that you could easily just like Google, but for the most part, they're questions. I'll try to write them anyway in such a way that you can't just easily, find stuff online, or you won't be able to, you can find it in your book, but like I just don't want anyone to think like, oh, I don't need to study because I'll just, look up all the answers in the book, or I'll look up all the answers on Google when it comes time. It's just that's not going to work. There's just not going to be, you won't have time to do that. efficiently. So anyway, that's the other thing to keep in mind. And then also, I am going to, we'll try anyway to do corrections and things like normal. The only thing that's really different is the Microsoft Forms thingy. What it does is when I grade them, it has a little grading feature in it. But it, at least for the multiple choice, it actually tells you what the I think anyway, what the correct answer is. So that means that actually, or I may not. I'm not sure actually if it'll tell you what the correct answer is on the multiple choice. But if it does, so be it. And then you'll just you'll know what the correct answer is. But of course, for the short answer, it won't. So for the short answer, you'll just have to like we normally would. You'd have to write out the correct answer, just like we did with the previous exam. So you just send me like a Word document or whatever with your corrections on it. And hopefully too, since I'll be able to turn these around, turn the grades or turn the graded exams back pretty fast. I find it's faster grading them on here than it is grading them on paper. I'm also just guessing, although I don't know for sure, that or I'm proceeding as if we're going to have to do finals this way too, but that hasn't been made official yet. So if this will be kind of a test run for our final exam, I guess, in a way. Did you guys get your grade reports yet?
Yes.
They got sent out already.
When were they supposed to be sent? Sent?
I don't know. I mean, we turned them in Tuesday, and then I know that they had already. Everyone had submitted their grades like Wednesday morning. They sent us like the reports of everyone's grades, and then they were supposed to send them out to you guys. But I don't know if they mailed them. I don't know if they sent the email. Did you? So David, did you get an email or an envelope?
I got it through mail.
You just regular mail. So yeah, it may just not have gotten out to everybody yet.
I got mine from Dr. Lee. Like, sent me a message on Teams with my grade, but he's not my advisor.
He's not your advisor?
No, he's not. So I was.
Well,
I don't know what happened there.
okay.
And it was just the numbers. It wasn't like the report.
Okay.
Just my grades.
Did you ask him about it, or he just like unsolicited sent you your grades?
Yeah, he just sent me my grades. I didn't ask him anything.
Okay.
Just got a random message.
Okay. Well, yeah, no, I don't know. Yeah, my guess is they probably mailed them Wednesday morning or Wednesday afternoon. So if you haven't gotten them by today, you'll probably get them tomorrow or Saturday. I don't know why they can't. Well, I mean, other than they just don't have a system in place to email them. I don't know why they don't email them, but that's neither here nor there. So does anybody actually have questions about the material or want to go over it?
Do we need to know wobble because I can't find it in the notes, but I remember it was in the homework, I think.
Do you need to know the wobble position? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, wobble position. Yeah, I forgot.
Well, I mean, you should know like what that means. Do you know what it means?
So I'll have to go over my notes again.
Well, okay, okay, so
Is this like a different base pair?
well, so yeah, so there every amino acid has one or more codons, right? And each codon is 3 bases long, and so the codon has to match to the anticodon, which is part of the transfer RNA. But because of the way that the transfer RNA is positioned over the mRNA, and because of some ambiguity between the hydrogen bonding of some of the bases, that third position of the codon, the third base, can base pair with more than one base in the anticodon. So for example, if there's this is in your book, by the way. I can even maybe I can even just show you. That'd be fancy. Hang on. Where'd that go? I had. Yeah, here it is. Hang on. Let me just do this. Share screen. All right. Can you guys see that? So yeah, so this just shows the wobble base. So each, if the, for example, if the 5' position in the anticodon is a U, it can hydrogen bond to either an A or a G. Normally that's not allowed. Like U would only base pair with A, but the positioning of the anticodon or the codon isn't exactly square. So that's why some of these, let's go to this. So that's why some of the amino acids have a bunch of different codons. So like, let's say threonine, for example. So threonine is here. So all threonine codons start with AC, and then the third base of the codon can be anything. It can be any base at all, because that's the wobble position. So some of them are ambiguous because of wobble. Some of them are ambiguous because there might be more than one transfer RNA that's associated with that amino acid. But so like leucine, for example, it has Cu and then X as its codon, but then there's also these two up here, UUA and UUG, are also leucine codons. So probably there are 2 different transfer RNAs for leucine. One that has an anticodon that looks for Cu at the beginning of the codon, and one that looks for UU at the beginning. So that's what the wobble position is all about. Also, in transfer RNAs, there's this other base called, I forget what the ionosine, which is just a modified base that is able to, or has kind of, it's less picky essentially about what it hydrogen bonds with. But again, it only shows up in transfer RNAs, or at least as far as we're concerned, that's all that it really does. Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
So, I mean, no, you don't have to like memorize, in other words, like which bases are able to wobble and which ones aren't. But yes, I do expect you to like understand what the concept of a wobble position.
Oh, okay.
I'm trying to remember what the name of what the I stands for, but anyway, yes, that's the basic concept.
Is the I an actual base, or is it just like a mutation of a different one?
It's a modified version of one of the 4 bases. I'm trying to remember what it's inosine. That's what it is. So yeah, it's a purine, and it's even, I think you'll probably find. I'd have to pull up the picture of it. I think it's actually chapter 8, which we already covered. But hang on, let me find that. Yeah, it is an actual base. Okay, so yeah, this is inosine right here. So it's pretty similar to so again, it's a purine. So it's kind of similar to adenine, and so it kind of, that's why it kind of base pairs with U, but it also it's just is less strict in how it base pairs with other things. So now, if you're asking like how does it get incorporated in the first place, I think it's a modified version of an adenine. So it's an adenine base that gets changed after the tRNA gets transcribed, because transfer RNAs and ribosomal RNAs get transcribed from DNA the exact same way that messenger RNA does. So in other words, the RNA polymerase that makes transfer RNA makes it basically the same way that that regular RNA polymerase, or the same way the mRNAs are made. But then after the fact, some of these bases get converted into these alternative forms. So, and I think I already said this, but I will let you know there's probably going to be a question or two that asks you to find one or more amino acids given, an mRNA sequence. But you'll have the codon table. So in other words, you don't have to memorize that whole big table, but you do need to be able to find, look at it and be able to tell, okay, if, given this amino acid, what's the codon, or given this codon, what amino acid does it go to, that sort of thing. So you don't have to memorize it, but you do have to know how to read it. Has anybody watched the lectures up through chapter 10?
I've only gone through chapter 7.
Okay. Keep in mind, as always, we know a lot of the stuff in your book. There's a lot more stuff in your book than what I actually covered. So that's the main reason for watching the lectures, is to know which stuff is actually stuff that you're responsible for, and which stuff is not.
Dr. Richards?
Yep.
This is off topic, but do you think we'll come back to school before the end of the semester?
Oh, I don't know. Honestly, if I had to guess, I would say no. Because I don't see the situation changing a whole lot until, at best, another couple weeks. So, and in my opinion, if we come back And we are, we try to like go back to normal everyday classes. We only have, I mean, if you look at the calendar, we've got I think, I don't even know if Dr. Wong has even officially said what day he expects us to be back, but I think last time I heard it was end of April, but April 30th is a Thursday, so I doubt it wouldn't make much sense to come back on May 1st, which is a Friday, and then so assuming we don't actually come back until, let's say, May 4th, we'd have 2 weeks of classes and then finals. And then in one of those, there's supposed to be an extended weekend in there too. So to me, it would be, I'm not sure what value there would be in coming back just for 2 weeks and then going to finals. I mean, academically, I mean, obviously it'd be nice to, at some point, they'll have to let you guys at least come back and get your stuff. And I don't have a clue what they're going to do about graduation, but I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine at this point.
Okay.
Dr. Richard,
Yes.
do you think it's going to last into the fall semester?
I don't know that either. I can tell you, and you guys would be interested in this. I did consult with the folks at OUHSC and OMRF because at least until recently, I was planning to go ahead with like IRSP and all of our normal summer things, but they've told me both campuses have said that they're not going back to normal operations until maybe July. And even then, they're like, we probably won't be able to let students come on. So, for example, like I've all but canceled IRSP. I've left open the door to maybe postponing it until like late July, but I'm not optimistic. And then, as for when we come back or what happens in the fall, yeah, I don't know that either. I know that there are universities that are making sort of contingency plans for what do they do if they can't come back in the fall, go back to normal in-person classes. But I don't think anyone really has come up with any good plans. Now, as far as the virus goes, my suspicion, I mean, it won't go away. Like we'll still be dealing with the virus for probably forever. I mean, it may just be one of those infections, kind of like the flu, that just sticks around and comes back every once in a while. And hopefully it goes down over the summer. But then, of course, if it acts like the flu, it'll come back in the fall. And then, I don't know what happens. I mean, either we try to just go back to normal and, try to deal with it as best we can, or we go back to this again. But, your guess again is as good as mine. I mean, that's the thing. It's like there's really no comparison. There's no other time, definitely in my lifetime, that I can point to and be like, oh yeah, this is just like that. This sort of thing happens once in a generation. So everyone's kind of making it up as they go. Have you guys heard from any of the schools you've been accepted to about what they're doing?
So far, our classes are canceled through the summer, but I think for now they're on track for fall.
To go back, yeah. Yeah, I think that's the plan for now. I think everyone's just trying to get through the summer, and then they'll, deal with the fall when it comes time. I mean, it's been, I know, like my wife, for example, she works for George Washington University, and she works from here, but they've been dealing with what to do with their campus because they have a hospital, like a lot of universities do, and they've told them that they may need to use their dorms as probably not to house patients, but maybe to house like extra medical staff. So they told their students that, of course, just like we told you guys, I mean, they left for spring break and they said, well, we're probably going online, but we're not sure how long. So they didn't tell them to empty their dorm rooms. So what they've had to do is, and they can't let the students come back on campus to empty their dorm rooms. So they've hired moving companies to come in and box up all the students' stuff, like everything in their rooms. And then they've told them, like, basically we're going to keep this stuff in storage until fall, and then or whenever they're allowed to let people come back, and then they'll be able to collect their stuff. But yeah, they haven't really decided what they're going to do after that. But I wouldn't be surprised to see some universities saying in the next few weeks that, like, they're just gonna make a plan for having online classes for the fall semester, but I just don't know.
My dad's been a little obsessed with keeping up with stuff, but I don't know how credible his sources are. But he was telling me about these articles that he read, one of which said there's supposed to be like a second bigger wave. And then another one said that if we don't get a vaccine soon, then we're going to be like in isolation until 2022.
Well, I mean, yeah, that's one possibility. I mean, because that's like I said, that's how a lot of these infections usually go. Is they kind of, taper off and then they come back, and that is one danger of trying to go back to normal. So if they try to open everything back up, like even if the infection rates go down, and it feels like the danger is past, if we open everything back up, then you run the risk of starting a whole new wave of infections. So that could happen. It would be nice if we could prepare better, but I just don't know. I mean, that's the thing. It's hard to prepare for something that's so new. But yeah, I mean, the vaccine will definitely help, because it will make it so that it just makes it harder to spread. But yeah, it takes in normal times it takes like at least a year to 2 years to develop a vaccine. Now, my understanding is and I have not read, I don't know that much more about it than the average person, but from what I understand, the vaccine that they're working on now, there's several labs working on vaccines, but it will they're kind of fast tracking it, like they're going through their normal procedures more quickly. So like normally when you develop a vaccine, there's the first phase is animal testing. So you take the vaccine and you just inject it into animals just to make sure it doesn't have any obvious toxic side effects or whatever, and then you give it to people. But I know at least I think I read somewhere, I just saw the headline, I don't think I actually read the story, but that they're actually allowing it to go ahead with at least safety testing with human subjects. So they're testing the vaccine candidates, at least for safety. But I mean, safety testing is one thing. Then you have to do to see if it actually works. So you inject it into, and the only way to tell if a vaccine is effective is you give it to a person, give the vaccine to the person, and then just wait and see if they get infected. Because at least, unless they've changed this rule, you can't, deliberately infect someone with a disease. So they can't like inject you with the vaccine and then inject you with the live virus to see if you actually get sick or not. So they have to just wait for you to like come in contact with someone who's infected, and then see if you get sick or not. So they have to wait. Probably, I mean, even once they start that phase, like it could be in several months. So I mean, yes, that is one possibility, is that it takes a good at least a year or more to get the vaccine. Because then, of course, once you actually have the vaccine, the next step is making it. So, like the vaccine itself, usually they grow them. I mean, they have to have a host of some kind. Like with the flu vaccine, for example, it's grown in chicken eggs. So they actually have there are the companies that make these vaccines. They have these huge chicken farms, and the chickens lay eggs. They collect the eggs, and then they basically inject the eggs with they're unfertilized eggs, but then they have cells that will act as hosts for the virus. So they inject the virus into the eggs. The virus grows, and then they take the egg white basically and purify it, and there's some way to inactivate it. So like they'll usually either boil it or do something to kill the virus, but still have the viral proteins present. And then, then you can give it to a person. But again, it takes a while to get that whole process going. But I mean, hopefully, in the meantime, if we got a better testing system in place, so if the tests were, because that would be one way to go back to something like normal, is if everyone or more people at least could get tested, then we could say, okay, these people are infected, so they need to stay in quarantine until they're better. These people are not infected, so as long as you're not around people who are infected, you can go about your daily business. And as long as you're not, and then you can also keep those people that are in danger. I mean, people with immune compromised conditions or elderly people or whatever, separated, and then the rest of us can go to again some sort of normal day-to-day life. Well, guys, if nobody has anything else they want to go over, I guess I will sign off. But if you do come up with something, you can email me anytime. You can send me a message through Teams. I can always jump back on and we can have a audio or video conference, whatever, as well, or whatever you guys want to do. Are you guys still there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, anyway, like I said, just and I'll send some more details too about the test when we get closer. You can. Oh, I should say you can look at my old tests from the test from last semester, but those are going to be different because I'm doing the chapters out of order. Whereas last semester I more or less went in order. So like, I don't think the third exam had, I know it had stuff about lipids and it had questions about carbohydrates, but it probably didn't have anything from chapters 25, 26, and 27, and would have had stuff from chapters that you guys haven't covered yet. So like all the stuff about oxidative phosphorylation and glycolysis and so on and so forth, which we'll get to that. We may start talking about that stuff after the test. I'll see how much of that I want to try to squeeze in, but that stuff, when you see questions about that sort of thing on those old tests, that's why, but that's not the stuff that you'll have to worry about for this test. Okay. Oh, and the PowerPoints. So I used to keep, you can still get to my PowerPoints, I assume. What I used to do is just keep one big PowerPoint file that I would kind of add slides to. But what I've been doing instead is each individual chapter has its own PowerPoint file, and so I've been so all my videos, for example, that I posted were from those individual files. So if you're going back to look at my slides, you should go back and look at those chapter-wise files rather than the big one, because I haven't been updating that one. I've only been updating the individual files. So in case that was an issue for anybody. All right, so anyway, I'm just around whenever anyone has questions. I'll even send you like I said, my cell phone number, so in case anyone loses their internet, and as long as you still have some way to communicate with the outside world, you can get a hold of me. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Richards.
Thank you.
Bye.